Karem, I am super excited to have you here on the Seen, Heard, and Profitable podcast. You are such a powerhouse, as we just witnessed. And I just love having conversations with you. And I wanted to bring those conversations to the public arena and just learn from you more and have our manifestor community learn from you more at the same time. And so I want to get right in there. And I want to ask you about the top three focal points that I hear you speaking on in most of your messages and most of your conversations, social media posts. And that is ignition, decision, and action. Tell me why those three words are so powerful and important to the work that you do in the world.
Well, hello, beautiful. How are you? It's so good to be here with you, and thank you for having me. I love this. You're like right to the point. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, it's really about ignition, and that is when I say ignition, or when you hear anything around that, it's activating who we are. All right, when it comes down to our soul, our core, who we are, because just from my perspective and my own life experience. And as I grow and continue to unfold, I see the gap that I was that older version of me and the version that I am now, and still the version that continues to unfold as I continue to have experiences and become more aware and more present and more conscious. So igniting that within us comes with the sense of giving yourself permission,
Mm,
giving
giving
yourself
yourself
permission
permission.
to be that authentic self, to own your own powers, because our decision is a power. The decision to do anything is a power.
Mhm.
And like you've heard me in the past, most of the times we're in reaction. We are doing things because we think we have to, because we don't step back for a second, ground ourselves and say, hold on, what do I want? What do I want in this conversation? What do I want from this experience? What is this leading me towards something that I already committed to? So it's decision. And we ignite when we become aware that we have that decision ability, that decision.
Yes, we do. We ignite when we realize we have that decision ability. I just got
Exactly.
ignited this morning. That's why you're like, you went right in. I am ignited.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is. It's and so that comes with the discipline of self of study, right? Like, what are we depositing into what I usually say the garden of our minds? What are we depositing that is going to help us remind us that this conversation is a conversation I want to have and I'm totally present and intentional with? Or the next appointment, or whatever it may be, is it something you truly want? Um, are you in the reactive side? Are you reacting because of the outside circumstances that we so often allow us to be influenced by? And then we're influenced, and then we react to it because we have our senses in the driver's seat instead of our faculties. And our
Mm.
faculties is something that we're born with, but it's not taught anywhere. you
For
know
some
of them
people,
you know of them when
yeah.
somebody mentions it, right? Like if I were to mention our perception, right? That's a faculty. You know of them, but you don't realize that that is a faculty that you were gifted with, so that you can become more present, so that you can give significance to whatever it is you're looking at, a significance that allows you to elevate and that is going to serve you, instead of keeping the significance that you absorbed from the outside world and now letting it mix into your world and reacting to it.
What is a faculty? The first time I ever heard that term in regards to me, myself, right? Not school administrators or something.
Mhm.
I heard it in a church that I attended when I was around 18, 19 years old. And so for people listening, when they say, or when you say they have a faculty, what does that mean?
So faculties, and I learned this is from my late mentor, which was my first mentor, Bob Proctor. And what I came to learn was that we have six faculties. And faculty are abilities, skills, not skills, but abilities that we expand on and make it as and make it as of our own skill so that we can actually create the life that we desire. So a faculty is our perception. Our second faculty, or one of the faculties, is our memory, intuition, free will, right? The will. We have intuition. Hold on, when I put them in order. So we got memory, we got intuition, we got perception, we got uh, what's the other ones? Oh, what did I say to you already?
Perception, memory, intuition, free will.
Right. And
We got two more to go.
yes, and it just kind of froze on me. And it'll come in the process
Yes.
of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we have those faculties, and this is what I say, that these are the ones that we want to put in the driver's seat, because we function from our senses. So whatever we see, we taste, we smell, we touch, right, and we hear, we're always reacting to that. But if we put our senses to the passenger seat and we use our faculties, that when we see something, we're saying, okay, how do I want to look at this? What's the significance I want to look at this with? That's your perception. You reason with it. Why do I want to reason with this? Like, what's the meaning behind this? Is it a meaning that are you giving it a meaning that's going to serve you, or it's going to hold you? Right? What's the willpower? The fact that you get to choose at that very moment. You have the power to stop what it is and how it's affecting you, and you get to choose how you want something to be. Right? And then we have imagination. That's the other one. Imagination. Right? We have this amazing imagination, and all these faculties we're born with, and yet we don't make use of them to the level that they're meant to be used. And so our imagination is at full blown when we're kids, but as we grow, we start to limit the imagination, and we start to react, and what we desire depends on what is surrounding us. And so we stop. And I remember when I got into personal development, I thought I was creative. I thought I was, using my imagination. And then all of a sudden, when I really had to come down and start to imagine certain things, I had a hard time. And
Mm,
why? Because I didn't realize that the everyday, the circumstances, the finances, the kids, the parents, all created I was allowing myself to be influenced by it. And so how many times do you say, oh, I want to have this, but I'll do it another day? Or I want to, I want to purchase a particular blouse, or, or a shirt or whatever. And you think of the outside circumstances and you choose not to do something.
right.
So that willpower that we have, that we can say, and that reasoning, that we can have behind things, to make decisions based on what we want and what we desire, how we want to feel and what we want. And those are two things. So what I say all the time is, and I used to be one of those that really procrastinated making decisions when I would go shopping. One, because I'm not a fan of shopping. But two, when I would be like, "Ugh, do I really need this?" And then I'd be, but I kind of want it, but really, do I need this? And I would go back and forth, and it would drive me insane, Quadeera. And I wouldn't even realize it, that I was doing that. And I would hold on to it, and still I would get to the register, and I would still be questioning if I should get it or not. And then I was like, as the more that I studied, I would say, you know what? Successful people make decisions. Napoleon was one to do this, right? Successful people make decisions within 3 to 5 seconds. And
Mm.
then they delay, if at all, have to modify it based on what it is, on what the circumstances begin to unfold. And so when I said, and I started playing, you know what, anytime I'm going to buy something, I'm going to make a decision, something, I'm going to give myself 3 seconds. Because the truth is that we do have the answer, but it's the paradigms, which is the habitual behavior of thinking and acting, that immediately comes in and controls our decision, our will to make the decision. And
Mm.
so when I saw something and I liked it, I was like, oh, I like this, and then I would be iffy and I would remember 3 seconds. What do I want, Karen? I want the shirt. Okay, it's yours. And then all of a sudden, I felt this sense of liberation, like the heaviness just disappears, because once you make a decision by law, you've communicated to the universe that you're ready to move forward. So now your perception is moving forward to the next thing. It's not in the lingering. The heaviness that we feel when we're trying to make a decision is the lack of the decision that we're making. It's the
Mm.
indecisiveness. It's the procrastination. So we feel the heaviness of something. And the moment you make a decision, all of a sudden you feel like, wow, I just felt like I dropped, a couple of bricks from carrying on. Why? Because you gave clarity. Clarity is something so beautiful that a lot of people don't get to really recognize and embrace, because they're so focused on the opposite, the contrast of what's happening.
Yeah.
But when you start to recognize that the contrast is your beautiful message, and it's the information that is being shown to you so that you have clarity over what you want. The contrast is there to say, you know what, this is something that's showing up in your life. Do you want to continue having this or not? What do you do? Well, I recognize now that that is not something I want. I don't want to be indecisive. I don't want to linger on and be this type of person. I want to make decisions. So what happens? You recognize that, and therefore you implement something. And the more that you study, the more that you do this habitually, it becomes part of who you become.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes part of your DNA. And so when when I talk about these faculties, that's the way that we ignite ourselves. We ignite ourselves because we get to choose how we're going to look at something. We get to reason how we're going to do it, right? We get to put the significance, not take the significance that somebody else created with their own limitations and their own beliefs or lack of belief. We get to use our intuition, which is those first 3 seconds that we say, what do I want? Your intuition is responding to you. And so if you listen to that voice instantly before the habitual behaviors come in, the habitual thinking comes in, then you get to empower yourself with that intuition. And so, and the more that we do that, the volume of that inner voice begins to go up.
Mm.
And and I feel that like that's the that's the simmering I want to be in. That's kind of like the ocean I want to flow in. I want to be in where I know that if I when I ask, or not even ask anymore, but my intuition is guiding me, because it's always guiding us. It's just, how present are you to hear it? And that's truly the question. How present are you? Because our infinite intelligence is always guiding us. But most of the times we're so worried about what somebody else thinks or what that person is doing, and we're worried about everything that is around us, that we forget to focus on what we want and what we desire, and what is that infinite intelligence telling us. And sometimes infinite intelligence is giving us this such huge inspirational thoughts that we feel that we're too small for that type of inspiration. So it really is about igniting. When we take our life into control, we become the conductors, right? We become the captains of our ship when we start to become more present, more intentional and living out of our faculties, making life decisions, moments, every second decision from our faculties, and not necessarily allowing us to be influenced.
Karem, Karem.
So, yeah, that was it, right? Decision.
So good. I got so many things rummaging through my head.
Mm,
That was so good. I decided to look up what a faculty is because this is how my brain works. And
mhm,
so I asked ChatGPT, what is a faculty? And ChatGPT said, in academia, a faculty typically refers to a group of educators or experts within a university or college who are responsible for teaching, research, and sometimes administrative duties.
mhm,
Faculties are often organized by academic disciplines, such as the Faculty of Arts, Faculty of Science, Faculty of Engineering, etc. Each faculty usually consists of professors, associate professors, assistant professors, lecturers, and other academic staff members who specialize in specific fields of study. Now, I don't know how everyone else's brains work, but I can only tell you how my brain works.
okay.
And so I get super excited by what I just read because it says in academia, a faculty typically refers to a group of educators or experts within a university or college who are responsible for teaching, research, and sometimes administrative duties. So for me, the way my mind reads this is that the university or the college is this world that we live in, right?
Mm,
And in academia, in life, a faculty typically refers to a group of educators or experts. The educators and the experts are all of those faculties you just gave us: the perception, the memory, the intuition, imagination, all of them. They are the experts that we've been given to guide and help us navigate and make decisions, right? So this is how I geek out. I
mhm,
get excited. So I'm thinking about like the faculty of science, the faculty of engineering, as it says here in Chat GPT. And it just has me thinking about all the different areas of my life, our lives. And so it's interesting that you would bring up this whole shopping in the store thing, because I think a lot of us, I think that's such a basic thing that we don't actually think about all the time, because I know for sure that I have been one of those people that takes tons of things up to the register, and I'm trying to decide which thing am I going to take. And so what I've learned to do, which has helped me a lot in my decision making, being more decisive, is before I even get to the register now, I just decide. I make a decision. What is it that I really, really want? Right. And I don't know. Now I'm going to start paying attention if what I want comes to the surface in the first 3 seconds. But I don't leave the dressing room until I decide, like, this is it for me. And I don't let myself turn back. My old self, Karam, wants to turn back. No, I don't need to spend $100. I don't need to do this. I could spend that on something else, all the things.
mhm,
But I had a desire that I wanted to make my closet more pink and
mm,
more teal, because those are my brand colors. Those are my favorite colors. And I wanted them to match my brand. And then the universe started bringing me more pink. Every time I went into a store, there was more pink, there was more
absolutely.
teal, there was more
And I
yellow.
want to say that that's part of the decision, because when we make a decision, we told the universe this, and therefore the universe starts to say, okay, here you go, babe. You have it here, you have it here, you have it everywhere.
But the old me would say, I don't have any pink. And then when I get in the store, I would see this pink, but I would like go back and forth in my mind and sway.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't need that. It's too much money. You know what I mean? But now I've
Absolutely.
come to a place where I'm like, nope, this is what I said I want. It's here in my face. I'm getting it.
Exactly. You know what? And just for those that say, well, what for the people that honestly they want something, but they don't necessarily have the financial means right now at the moment, right? Well, how do you stay in alignment?
Mm-hmm.
And that's so important because it's so powerful when you say, I choose, I like it, I do want it, but I choose to get it another day. It's so different from saying, I can't afford it or I can't have this right now. Like one, you maintain your power and elevate because you're making the decision, not the circumstances. You make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And the second is you completely giving away your power to the circumstances and the story you're telling that is not elevating you. And it just helps you understand and it helps you stay in alignment that we all have a choice. And that's the beauty of what people say, I don't have a choice, I can't purchase this, or I can't go and do something else. And the choice is, yes, you can say, I choose, I do want this, I do love this, but I choose to purchase it another time. And even though we're psychologically playing with ourselves, it still is more empowering and liberating than if you were to say, I can't afford this.
Yeah. I have a best friend way back when after college. She would go shopping and she would say things. We'd be on the phone. She'd be like, oh my God, I love this dress. I'm going to get it. And that's her in the store. But now let's say I'm in the store and we're on the phone and I would be going back and forth. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to get it. It's $300 or it's $150 because it would be typically like a formal dress or something really unique that you can't find anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Mhm.
And she would say, well, do you think you can find it somewhere else? And I would say no. She would say, do you have the $150? I would say yes. She would say, do you love it? Yes. No, do you absolutely love it? Yes. We'll get it. And I would say, you are not supportive. she would say, I am being supportive. You love it? Like if you leave, her marker was if you leave the store and you're still thinking about it, do you believe you're going to still be thinking about it? Are you going to regret it? Then you get it because you're going to be so happy. And in following that advice that she gave me, Karem, I'm telling you, every piece of clothing that I own, that I use that decision making process, I still have and still love it to
Yeah.
this day. Like I look at it and I'll be like, that is one of the best, decisions I ever made. And I know we're talking about shopping and clothes, but even with so many
It's in
other areas of
everything. It's in
my
everything.
life.
And the thing is that what people don't realize is that when you feel that good about it, you're vibrating. Like you are creating, you're designing, you are literally creating at that very moment with more power. We're always creating, but when you're vibrating in that energy and you feel so good about it, then you're creating something at that level of significance and that level of goodness, abundance, prosperity, because you're elevated. And so people don't realize that at, our vibration is so important. What we're thinking is so important. How we're feeling is so important. And our feelings are is what is the communication we have with the universe. So when we're doubting ourselves or when we are thinking if I should, if I shouldn't, and this, and that, you're starting to go lower in your vibration where you can empower yourself and say, you know what, this is something that is for me.
Yeah.
Or I do want this. I choose to do this another day. Like right now, I want to do this other thing, right? Like you have those powerful conversations. And that goes for as simple as shopping, as we're talking about right now, because it was just an example that it's so easily. And for me, it was so impactful because I used to procrastinate so much to make decisions. Compared now, I look at it and it's like, hmm, yeah, I want this, or yeah, I like this, but not today. Like I have other priorities,
Or
but
I
I'm
don't want
empowered.
this.
Exactly. Or I don't want it, but I'm empowering myself with the internal conversation that we're having. Right? And that's so significant because you are always vibrating and creating. And that's what we want to remind ourselves. We're not just creating when we decide to make a plan of something or when we sit down and do one thing. We are always, our emotions are constantly working. Our subconscious doesn't sleep, right? And our conscious mind does sleep, but our subconscious mind doesn't sleep. And what is it that we're impressing into that subconscious mind so that we're always creating to elevate ourselves?
Yeah, I love that word. I think it's one of the most powerful words for me ever, every time I hear it, impressing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I typically hear it when people are talking about the subconscious mind. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just something about it that really solidifies for me, like stamps it into my mind about the power of making decisions and programming yourself and how you make choices and decisions, impressing in the subconscious mind. I actually imagine like
Yes. And
a
it is. I look at it like, I have a stick figure. I don't think you can see it here.
Mhm.
But what I think I visualize is because of the way that I coach, everything that I'm allowing to come into my conscious mind, the repetition of whatever that is, the internal conversation that I'm having, sometimes unconsciously. What is it that I am letting go, letting in? In other words, my security guards are letting, they're distracted and they're allowing to impress into my subconscious where then I embody. That means that I've embodied it. Do
Mm,
I want to embody that idea? Do I want to embody that? Because that idea becomes your truth. And so it goes back to what we hear: if you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you are correct because only your truth is the truth. The truth is what you decide for that to be. It's not even a significance of others, it's what you decide that to be. So if you decide that you can do something, then that becomes your truth. If you decide that you are intelligent, that you are ambitious, then that is your truth, because your truth is what you impress, that you then embody. Therefore the results show your truth.
mhm. What you repeat begins to impress in your subconscious mind. You begin to embody it. That becomes your truth. And then everything you're doing, everything you say, everything you take action on, you take action
It
from
comes
that
from
truth.
the habitual imprint of
Mm-hmm.
the subconscious mind,
Mm.
because our
Ah.
actions come from our subconscious mind. That's why when I first began in this, also something that was really powerful was God gave us many gifts, and one of them is the gift of habit. Habit to make life easier depends on what you imprint, what you make a habit in your life. You get to choose to make a habit something that is empowering and is going to elevate you and move you forward, or you create a habit that keeps you exactly where you're at or it keeps you from being. But habit, and that's why there is it's this is far, but this is why we say, or I say sometimes, there is no right or wrong. It is what you make it to be. So a habit can be a paradigm for people, can define it as something positive or negative. It's exactly what significance are you giving it? And that's where you embody, and that becomes your natural way of being, which is your actions come from that emotion that is in that subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is your emotional mind, which vibrates into our body, and we take action based on those things.
Mm.
Therefore, the results are from what we impressed, what thoughts we were having, that we impressed into our subconscious mind and vibrated into our body. Because at the end, our bodies is just an instrument of our minds. That's why they say that you have to be that person first to have those results. You can't just want it, because we only get who we are. We can imagine certain things, but if we don't believe that's who we are, then we are only going to get the results of the person that we are actually. You have to be that person. And that person is the person that is your truth that lives in your subconscious mind.
It's funny. That just reminded me of my email signature that says, when you remember who you are, everything changes.
Absolutely.
Um, your subconscious mind is your emotional mind.
Mm-hmm.
That has me thinking back to last week when we tried to record this podcast. And it has me thinking about how emotional I was and how those emotions, looking at them, it is a mirror into where
The
the thoughts
thinking is.
that my subconscious mind was playing, even though on the conscious level, in my conscious mind, I was trying
Mm-hmm.
to do all the things, but there was a belief sitting in the back there, and that is what played out and manifested itself
Exactly.
on that day,
What a
because
beautiful example.
it was my emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, not to go fully into detail, but last week, when we attempted to record this podcast, I was very emotional. I had like this emotional breakdown with all the things that I wanted to do, and things that, that I thought I wouldn't be able to do because I had so many things in my way or so many things on my plate. And even though I'm pushing through, and I see this with so many people that I work with, so many high achieving women that are my friends, and it manifested in me that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I was trying to push through on the conscious mind level. I'm thinking I got it under control, but it just took one little thing, one little pebble, boop, to make it just shatter. And it's clear to me now, looking back, that in the subconscious level, look, my emotions were in a different place than where I was trying to say that I was, or put myself in a on a
Absolutely.
conscious level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to deal with that, have that conversation with you, and it it also, using this example, it also has me thinking about this word again, or these words: imprinting, impressing, and indecision. So something
Mm-hmm.
I find interesting that I've never heard or realized until today is the words imprint and impress have a prefix of I am. And so now I'm curious. I want to know, well, what does this M mean? Does it have any connection to I am? To
Absolutely. It
Okay.
does. It has. Because what lies in our subconscious is the person you are. We are.
Mm.
It's the I am. So no matter how much, like using the example of last week, you want to say something?
I'm thinking about, it's the I am. No, I'm taking this all in. This is so good.
Yeah, it's the I am. So no matter how much you want it on the conscious level to change and be the, ready to record, individual, you had to experience the true I am, which was what was in your subconscious mind. You were experiencing the emotions of that truth. That was
That
your
was
truth.
living in my subconscious mind.
Exactly. That
And
was your truth.
the reason why, okay, so This is so good because all of us are going through some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
As coaches, consultants, we think a lot about our clients, right? And so there are moments when things are not working out the way we want them to. And if I think about last week, things didn't play out the way I wanted them to play out because I had to, what was playing out in my subconscious mind was running the show.
Exactly.
And so that was running the show. And it makes me think so much about what's running the show for a lot of us. And we're wondering why something might not be working.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where the power or the work of self image comes to. And that's why it's so important to work on the self image, because you can't outbeat the self image that you have. You have to recognize that image that you have of yourself, which requires you to go deep, right? It requires you to really put in the effort.
You have to recognize the image you have of yourself or the self image. It reminds me of that book, Psycho Cybernetics.
It is.
And so
Maxwell Maltz.
yeah, you have a image of yourself, right? And so you know what you're constantly thinking about and wanting to do and wanting to put in the world and wanting, wanting. But the image you have of yourself has not yet
Caught up to that.
caught
Exactly.
up to that. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's why we want to work on impressing the subconscious mind. All of the programming and all of the things that your late mentor and some of the other greats talk about in their
Mm-hmm.
works. Um, and it makes me think too, going back to what you said about indecision, I wrote down that indecision kind of torments us, right? But that indecision is coming from a, a place of the self image. Like,
Absolutely.
mhm,
Mhm. It's a place of self image because in order our ability to make a decision is based on the faith that we have of ourselves,
right.
right? On the belief that we have of ourselves. And that's directly connected to our self image. So indecision is a lack of a certain degree, a lack of belief in you, of what you can do, of if this is something you deserve. Like, it depends on what that is, you see. So the indecision, and just because that heaviness that I spoke to you about, and you again mentioned that heaviness, and this was so powerful, and let me see if I can say it the way I want to say it. But what was so powerful for me when I captured that the resistance that we feel in life and anything that we're doing is the pulling of our core trying to bring us back to center. So the resistance is not that you're not supposed to, is that our core is bringing us back, our soul is bringing us back to be who you're meant to be, act who you are, right? Speak as you're meant to speak, the person that you are. So the indecision is the lack of decision, which is contrary, right? The lack, it's contrary to the person that if we live and we believe in who we are, then we would trust our intuition and trust that every inspiration, every thought that comes through, if you feel in a certain level, if you go deep enough, you know that that's for you to take. The resistance is the fact that we don't make a decision and we're battling with the outside circumstances. And so imagine, I always envision it like this light, this inner soul of me saying, come back, The indecision is because I'm being influenced by the outside and I'm not in alignment with whom I am. And so when you think about it and you give it an image, it becomes so very powerful, and you start to recognize, okay, I'm having tension here. I'm having resistance here. Why? Because I am derailing, I am disaligning myself from who I'm meant to be. And who we're meant to be is all powerful. When we think about the thoughts that come through, intuition, that inner talk, the inner conversations that we have, how are they serving us? What decisions are we making, or lack of decisions we're making? Are they elevating or keeping us? And so it's all about remembering, again, the way we started the podcast, remembering who you are and the power that you have within you. But we
Yeah.
got to tap into that. We got to become conscious about it. We have to be intentional about it. And the only way to do that is through study. There's something that you need to do every single day. And it should be part of your DNA, like it is to get up and go to the bathroom and brush your teeth, use the bathroom, whatever it may be. It's something that becomes natural. Studying, depositing something into your soul on a regular basis is it's a necessary in order for you to stay in alignment and remembering your truth, who you are and who you're meant to be, and all those inspiring thoughts that you gain, that you receive continuously. They're not mistakes. They're not too big for you. And
Mm-hmm.
the beauty is that when you start to analyze those things, you realize that if you thought of it, it's because it belongs to you. And the fact that if you think about it, if you gained this inspired thought, doesn't mean that you need to become ready to do that. No, because the moment that we receive it is the moment that we're ready to take action on it. Who we become in the process of taking action is a different thing. But it doesn't mean that we're supposed to wait like most people do. I can't start something even though the thought, the inspiration came weeks ago. I can't do this until this is done. That's not true. That's the conversation you're having because of the lack of belief in you, which brings us back to your self image.
Yeah, so good. Wow. Okay. Now, I want to just say that the reason why this type of conversation is so important to me, like, I love these kind of conversations and I love studying myself, the universe. I feel like the universe gives me a glimpse into myself, into God. So, um, I love studying this. So, in the work that I do, right, with women entrepreneurs, and the focal point, the title of this podcast is Seen, Heard, and Profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the things that I come up against with female entrepreneurs over the past decade, when it comes to one becoming seen, is that they want to be seen, but they don't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be heard, but they don't want to be heard. And they want to be profitable, but they don't want to charge people.
Mm-hmm.
So, thinking about the self image, what are some of the steps that I can begin? Not all of them,
Mm-hmm.
but some of the steps that I can begin to take if I'm wanting to get myself out there. I want to become more visible. I want to spread this powerful message or sell this life changing product. And I want to make good money doing it too. What are some of the first steps or first reframings of my mind that I need to take?
I think the first step beyond everything, and this is what Napoleon Hill always said, right, was we need to have a definitive purpose. When we have clarity over that definitive purpose and we're sure that that is our definitive purpose, and our definitive of purpose is, if you're asking yourself, it is something that brings life into your soul, whether you get paid or not, would you do what you're doing? Because a lot of people make decisions on what to do in their lives based on the money. And money is a circumstance, it is an effect of a cause. But we need to have clarity of that cause. We need to know, why is this profound for you? Is this truly what you desire? And when you have that definitive purpose and it's something that you're constantly visiting, meaning on a daily basis, you are seeing yourself as that person already successful with this result. So, what comes first? You got to have that clarity. You got to see yourself at the end result, because most people say, I need to plan out everything. And it's like, no, you don't. You need to have your definitive purpose, that clear purpose of why are you here on this earth? What is it meant to be? What are you supposed to leave here or say in this world? What fills your heart? What gives you that burning desire? And then see the end result. Who have you become? How do you look? How do you dress? Who do you have around you? What kind of impact have you completed? When you have your definitive purpose and you create the end result image, you've already started creating, because you are vibrating and the ideas are coming through. When you simmer on that definitive purpose, you have inspired thought that comes through. When you're visualizing the end result, you're vibrating even at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you are opening up doors to opportunity, people, and circumstances that you cannot receive when you are trying to figure out, what's my next step. This is the step. I need to know my next 3 steps. It is completely different dimensions, so having that definitive purpose and having and seeing your end result will bring you into the steps of what to take there. And the only way for you to stay focused in alignment, not focused, but more in alignment of that, is what are you doing on a regular basis that will help you align yourself every single day with your definitive purpose and with your end result. Because then, if we don't deposit something into our minds continuously that reminds us, this is what's important, this is where I want to be at. I want to be, you know, I want to write my goal every morning. I want to simmer in it. I want to experience it. I want to use my 5 senses. Then you're always going to have what you're going to do next. And it helps, and it will always help you, because it's all a beautiful combination. The self-image comes, the faith comes, the belief comes, the actions come, because you're focused on your definitive purpose and the end result. You're not focused on controlling how it's going to happen, because that's the universe's job. Your job is only to know what you want and to see yourself already obtaining that.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, the universe then delivers. Because when you see yourself already obtaining that, you're putting your 5 senses. And what did I say? That our mind, our subconscious, is the emotional mind. And our emotional mind dictates our body of what actions we take. So when we are happy and when we see and we feel the energy shift and change, and really makes us happy and excited, and we're just like feeling empowered, we take action. But if we're worried about how it's going to happen, then at that point we step down in vibration. We're controlling how the universe is supposed to give it to us, and that is not our job to do.
The emotional mind dictates. Start over. The emotional mind dictates our body.
Right.
And I'm thinking about this as I'm saying it. and thinking about how most of us are putting the body, or we think we're putting the body before the emotion, like
Mm-hmm.
you said, wanting to control it. Um, a friend comes to mind right now. She was just telling me the other day at lunch that, you know, she's doing this amazing stuff, just, opened up this amazing facility. And it feels like so many things are trying to come at her, trying to knock her off of her path, and big things too. So she's like, I'm just trying to handle it all. I'm just trying to handle it all. There's many women that have come through my coaching and consulting programs, whether it's business strategy or branding or anything. And I'm really taking this part to heart because I'm thinking about how we put the body before the emotions, and then we're not getting the results that we want because we're not focusing on the emotion of the thing instead of the body of the thing. And so there's a lot of people out here, myself included, going crazy over Abraham Hicks's messages, right? About the be do have. And Abraham is always like, feel it, feel it, feel,
That's
right?
why the feeling of it,
But we
because
don't
we
know what that
pretend.
means. We're like
So
trying to feel it.
the feeling. So it works this way. I'll give this. It works. This is what I call the stick figure, right? And so these are our senses. This is our conscious and our subconscious, and our body is the instrument of the mind. So our conscious mind is the thoughts and everything that we're constantly observing, bringing in from school, work, whatever. Everything goes here. What we constantly repeat, that becomes internal conversation, habitual behaviors, impressed into our subconscious mind. So what we say, use this line as your security guard, your bodyguard. That every time that a thought goes, you're going to impress into your subconscious mind, is because you've chosen that that's what you want. Because our subconscious mind is our emotional mind. The thought that you're having creates an emotion, and the emotion is created when it impresses into your subconscious mind.
Mhm.
Therefore, it vibrates into your body, and you take action based on the emotion that you're feeling.
Hold on. We have a thought.
You have a thought comes
Mhm.
into your conscious mind.
Yeah.
You can either reject it or accept it.
Mm-hmm.
If you accept it, it goes into your subconscious mind, where your subconscious mind cannot reject anything. That's why we want to have those bodyguards, because whatever you do accept, whatever you do impress, and therefore your subconscious mind accepts.
Give me an example of a bodyguard.
For example, um, let's say that okay, for example, your friend, right? And
Mm-hmm.
she has this business that she opened up,
Mm-hmm.
and she opened up that business because there's a belief in her that she is able to do it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yes.
that idea, that belief, those words, those conversations, she impressed into her subconscious mind. She became in love with it. She became attached to it. She became so happy about it. She just got excited and happy, and therefore she took action, even though she may have felt fear. But the happiness, the emotional mind is so much more powerful, even though fear is an emotion. But the excited part, the part of belief, her image was more powerful than the fear. Therefore, she vibrated and she took action on that. Now she's having, the obstacles. First of all, remember that the fact that you're having obstacles means that there is an equivalent of goodness on the other side,
Mm.
equal or better to that. So you embrace fear You embrace the obstacles, what? Using your perception, giving it a different significance. You use your reasoning, your imagination. You remind yourself of the core values, right? This obstacle, this contrast is giving me clarity of where I want to be. Because sometimes we have these things that come from the outside to test us. Is this truly where you want to be? Is this truly the decision? Are you anchored to that decision? And so those obstacles, she gets to decide, look at them, not with her senses, but with her faculties. This is happening. What is this teaching me? Is this helping me towards my goal of my business, or is it derailing me?
Mm-hmm.
She gets to choose to accept that and be influenced. And if she does, then she impressed it into her subconscious and she has an emotional feeling about it. But if she looks at it and says, you know what, this is not something that I desire, this is not part of my, it's not derailing me, this is not worth my energy, I have other things that I'm working on, then she literally rejected it. The bodyguard rejected it. The bodyguard is the faculties in play. That's the bodyguard. Your faculties in play, where they have to go through filters of your faculties before they're impressed into your subconscious mind. So it's a habitual behavior that we want to have, saying, okay, this is showing up. What does this mean? How do I feel about this? What do I want? You start to ask questions that is going to bring you clarity towards where you are going. Is this going to support me in this path, in this decision, in my definitive purpose, or is it going to derail me?
Mm-hmm.
So when you gain those answers, you have power. You have power because you know exactly what you want. And
Right.
therefore, you make decisions based on that. And the decision to say, nope, that's not going to work this way, or it is going to work this way. And
Yeah.
then you let it go. You see, it's all in the process. So that's why I say our bodies are an instrument of our mind, because the thoughts we get to choose, accept or reject, and the ones that we accept impress into our subconscious mind, which we then swim in those emotions. And that dictates what we're going to do. And the universe comes back to you with that same level or equivalent or better of attraction. That's why we attract everything that we're feeling. So when Abraham Hicks talks about emotion, she's talking about simmer in it. Think about how it feels to have what you desire. What are you doing? Who do you become? What impact do you have? What's the purpose for that you are desiring? She says, live in the emotion, because the emotional mind is how we communicate. The
The
body does
emotional
everything.
mind is how we communicate.
Our emotional mind is how we communicate, because that means that those are the thoughts that you have accepted. So when somebody says, oh, I didn't like my results, it's not because of the lack, well, it can be a combination of lack of action, but it's because you bring it back, your results, you come back to, you don't like those results, then you come back to, what were you thinking? What were you swimming in that created that belief? Therefore, your actions, even though you took actions, were they powerful actions? Were they at a level where you are actually impacting and shifting? Or are they, sometimes we write our goals, or sometimes we write an affirmation and we do it because we know we need to do it, but not because we're fully connected to the affirmation. And so when we connect to that, that requires for us to be intentional. And when we create to that, then our results are even more powerful and we gain more than what we thought we could, because that's the power you're putting into it. And so the more that we become aware of those things, then every little thing has a level of significance that just you're designing. This is what we do every single second. We are designing.
Mm-hmm.
Some know it, some don't. But either way, the laws are always working. The
Yeah.
universe is always working.
It's always working. One of my new favorite YouTubers, he calls himself a YouTuber, um, Myron Golden. He's not new, but he's new to me about a year and a half, 2 years. And he says there's one thing that he knows about work, and that's that it is always working. Work works. And I have a pastor of a church I used to attend. Well, actually, she's not my pastor, but the pastor who's connected to her used to always quote her. Her name is Dr. Reverend Johnny Coleman. I don't think she's here anymore. And she would always say, it works if you work it.
Absolutely.
It works if you work it. And she's of that whole, like, Napoleon Hill,
Mm-hmm.
all of those folks. So it works if you work it.
And that phrase has significance
Mm-hmm.
because it works if you're working it. You have to know what working it is.
Yeah. And you do have to know what working it is, Karen, because everything is always working. So
Exactly.
we want it to work in our favor the way we want.
Exactly. Exactly. Which requires for you to be present, intentional, clear, specific, right?
Yeah.
That's working it. Being intentional and that being in the present.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So good. All right. So how can if I am in a situation
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like I keep banging my head against a wall and I keep trying to, let's say, succeed in business, and I'm doing all the things. I feel like I know how to do a certain thing. Like I know my craft, right? But it's not picking up. It's not going where I want it to go. It's not flourishing. And I feel a little forsaken, right? Like, why isn't this working? I've even hired lots of different people. Like, I've tried all the things. What do you think is going on with me and my self image?
So one of them, I've come to learn this, personal experience. There's nothing like personal experiences, right? But I have come to realize that, first of all, what are we giving? What are we giving? Because one thing is to work and do what you think you're doing, but how far are you going to give that, going the extra mile? Wallace D. Wattles talks about going the extra mile,
Mm-hmm.
going the extra mile in everything that we do with the intention to serve, to elevate people, to impact people. So I would first check in with how much am I giving? What am I really giving out there? How many people am I helping? Am I supporting? And I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about like everybody needs to hear from you. You know, and one of the things that was really profound for me was, if I don't show up, um, who did I miss in helping out that was waiting for me? Right? That person. And then, second of all, check in with your definitive purpose. Is it true? Is that still your truth? Is that still your goal? Because sometimes we create a definitive purpose, and we go through experiences, through the trials and errors, and we realize that that's not your true passion, right? So check in with that first of all, and then observe how you see yourself with that. Have you created and visualized that person already having the success. Asking the questions, for analyzing that really deep, first of all, but then asking the questions of how, what else can I do to show up? How can I serve deeper, more? Where am I needed? A lot of our answers, all of our answers, come when we give time to the questions that we're just not used to asking, because we're so intellectually captured that we're focused on, this is what I need to do today in order to get to here. Here's the funnel, da 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 da. Tap away from that. Go inward. Ask yourself, why did I have this inspired decision? Why did I take this inspired decision? What is it about it that really fulfills me? Because most of the times when we're not having success is because there's a disalignment of who you believe to be and what you want. And there is a disalignment in the commitment of how you feel needs to be shown up in this world. And so people, I remember I would say, but I'm constantly helping people. Okay, but how much more can I do? What can I offer? Right? Kind of putting the money, but more into the service. Am I, you know, am I balanced in all the areas of my life? Am I giving into my community? Am I showing up in every aspect? So a lot of it, and then look at yourself. We can only find solutions when we remove ourselves from this vibration and the space that we've created, the resistance. Einstein says, right? You cannot find solutions from the same place that you created them. If you continue to do the same things over and over, then you're going to continue to get the same results. So you need to step back and self analyze and ask yourself, okay, what is it that I truly want? Am I still in love with this that I am doing? And if I'm not, how can I better it? What can I do? What is it that I truly want? And is this part of my journey? And then you integrate those answers with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to blossom. But you got to go in deep. You got to go in. Most of the times we lose focus of what we want because we get so bombarded with what needs to happen or what we think needs to happen because we're predicting it. That's why I'm so detached from like funnels. Like, and this may like for you because you love all this, but for me,
It's so funny. Yeah.
it was a big decision a couple of years ago, in my business, where I decided, I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it that way. I want to be able to attract the people into my life. I want my clients to come from referrals and the attraction. And I let go of funnels. I let go of I let go of the idea that I needed to, because I was vibrating in like, I need to do this. This is how everybody's doing this. I have to do this. And you fall into the wrong energy. And so when I made that decision, I kid you not, a week later, like less than a week later, out of the blue, a person that I knew for years connected. And I sold my first $10,000 package, and I was like, wow, where did that come from? Like, it was completely left field, and it was proof to me that I can do it the way that I decide how to do it, how I want to do it, how the way I feel in connection, that it was in alignment with the type of work that I want to do.
Yeah.
And so
I
that's really
love
important.
this. I'm so glad you brought that up because you must know me, because the way my mind was working the entire time was like, this is a funnel. And so one of the decisions that I had to make for my business that I made many moons ago was how I was going to do business strategy and marketing and all of the things, branding. And I don't believe in doing funnels the way everyone is doing them, because I think that that causes a lot of the disconnect for
Absolutely.
the client and for the customer that they're attempting to serve. And so, as you were talking about what are you giving and your definitive purpose, I kid you not, Karam, what I was seeing in my mind was a funnel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said funnel, and I was like, oh, and then you came back to funnel and started talking about it again, because for me, the way I'm teaching it, but the way I'm approaching it is exactly what you said. The large part of the funnel, that upside down triangle that we use as the example, right? That large open mouth is your giving. That's
Yes.
your definitive purpose. And so we don't have a lot of people teaching it that way or approaching it that way. So it does feel heavy and burdensome and disconnected. And I'm just going through all of the things. But that is, what is your definitive purpose? How are you giving? And I only want you to give from that space.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Because if you're giving from what you think you got to do, it becomes so challenging.
You
So
might
it's
as well not even do it.
giving definitive purpose to the highest tippy point at the bottom. How can you give the most
Mm-hmm.
of what you have? So thank you for bringing that up. That's my approach to funnels.
Yeah.
Just what you said.
It all comes down to what are you giving back?
Yeah.
And I've observed myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, I stopped volunteering in this place, right? Because we all get busy and we get sidetracked. And so when I ask myself the questions, like I used to volunteer here, and I used to volunteer here, and I used to do this, and then I got busy and I stopped 1 month, and it led to the second month, and then all of a sudden, we are in this alignment. So how are you giving back? Because the best way for us to gain clarity, the best way for us to all of a sudden be in flow is when we stop focusing on ourselves and we focus on somebody else. And so when you focus on somebody else, you're vibrating, and you know we're creating. So you're vibrating completely different, because focusing on somebody else is it, we do it and it makes us feel good, right? They say it's selfish, right? Because we know that we're going to go help you, but I'm going to feel good because I'm helping you, right? Like it's all at the end. It's where are you vibrating? Obviously with the intention that it's not because of something you need, but because you know it's something you desire to give. That's what it's all about. It's
Yeah.
giving back. It's giving back. And the more that we give back, the more that we are rewarded with infinite abundance. And it shows up in so many different ways in our lives, not necessarily how we want it or how we expect it, but that's the control side of us, right?
Mm.
So yeah.
Karam, how can we gain access to you and all the wonderful work that you're doing in the world?
So I'm in all social media platforms. Mindful with Karam .com is my website, and I'm always open to talking to and speaking with anybody. I love this, and I love to ignite people. I love them to just recognize more about themselves, and then live the life that we're meant to live. And it's not like we're in perfection. It's an revolving door. It's always like what's next. It's almost like the enthusiasm of like what's next in our lives. So
Yeah.
yeah, Karem Zafra-Vera, actually Mindful, that's my name, but actually I have it under Mindful with Karem, which is my brand.
Mhm.
um, mindfulwithkarem.com, and in all social media platforms.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and engaging in that wonderful conversation. I know you'll be back because you and I can just do this forever
All
and
the time. Oh my goodness. Yes, you can. It's so good. Thank you, Mama. Thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be here in your on your podcast and just having conversations with you.
thank you.